I want you to think about something for a second. How many times has Mortal Kombat reset its own story? And I mean seriously, not just a small retcon, I mean fully resetting its own timeline. Actually think about it. You might think, oh, some franchises just do it once or something and then they go off of that. But no, Mortal Kombat does it all the time. You have full timeline resets, characters dying, coming back, dying again, and then showing up like nothing happened. Entire storylines erased, rewritten, rebooted, and somehow this keeps happening in NetherRealm, to the point where if you try to explain the story of Mortal Kombat to someone, you almost can't, because the question isn't, what is the story? It's about, okay, which version of the story are we even talking about? And that's what makes this so interesting, because this isn't random. There's a reason NetherRealm Studios keeps doing this. There's a pattern, and today I just want to break down why every major timeline reset happened, why it keeps happening, and what it does to the characters, and why at some point Mortal Kombat needs to stop starting over. But if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. I do anything gaming, news, reviews, playthroughs, etc. And we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you like that style of content, be sure to hit that sub button and join the Frosty Flames Legion. We're closing in on 1700 subs, so I'd really appreciate it if you enlisted now and helped us reach our goal. Anyways, back to the video. To start, I want to go to Mortal Kombat 9, or Mortal Kombat 2011, whatever you want to call it, because this game is where everything changed. Before this, Mortal Kombat had one continuous timeline, from the original Mortal Kombat 1 all the way through Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Not counting Mortal Kombat DC Universe, you had one long, messy, but connected story. And then after that, they hit a wall. You had too many characters, especially in Armageddon. You had too many deaths, again in Armageddon, where the whole roster basically died. And you had too many storylines stacked on top of each other. It's like every character had their individual storyline, and it pushed that forward, and it tried to give every character the light, and it was really messy. It was all over the place. So what did they do in MK9? They reset everything. Raiden sends a message back in time, and boom, you have a new timeline. And honestly, this worked. I felt like it was clean, it was nostalgic, and it brought back classic characters. Basically, you had filler characters in the 3D era, because a lot of the classic characters were dying off. You had these replacement characters come up to replace the classic characters, such as like Jarek having Kano's moveset and Mavado for Cabal, etc., right? And these didn't really click with the fans at the time, because they're like, these aren't original, these aren't cool, right? But I love them because they're nostalgic to me, but everyone has their opinions. But they never beat the classic Mortal Kombat characters, and with MK9 they brought them back in a clean way. But then comes Mortal Kombat X. Now instead of resetting again, they try to move forward. You have like new generation characters like Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs, Takeda Takahashi, and this is where things start to get interesting, because instead of fully committing to the future, the game sort of splits itself here. Half of the roster is new, and the other half are just classic characters brought back again. They're revenants, undead versions, alternate states, so even when characters die, they're never really truly gone, and that starts to create a problem in the story, because death stops meaning anything. Because if you die and then you're just going to come back, right? What's the point of even dying? And then we get to Mortal Kombat 11. This is where things go even further. You have time travel in this game. You've had past versions of characters meet the present versions. Like, I think it goes back to MK9 just before Kung Lao dies in the first tournament in the Coliseum. And then you had these timelines that start colliding, and this is the moment Mortal Kombat fully embraces the idea that nothing is permanent, which sounds cool at first, but it has consequences, because now any decision can be undone, any death could be reversed, any storyline could be rewritten, and when anything is possible, nothing really feels important in the story again. And then we have Mortal Kombat 1. We reset again. Mortal Kombat 1, the new era, the new timeline. You have new versions of characters. And at this point, you're starting to notice something. It isn't just a creative choice anymore. It's sort of like a pattern in the Mortal Kombat story. So why does NetherRealm keep resetting everything? And I feel like there's a few real reasons. And the first being accessibility. It's because every reset makes the game easier for the new players, the new generation going into Mortal Kombat for the first time. Because you don't need to know the 20 plus years of lore. You could just jump right in. Another one is fan service. Every reset allows them to bring back classic characters like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, everyone that fans love. No matter what happened to them in the past, everything will just be undone to them and they'll be fresh in their classic versions that people know and love. And another one is creative freedom. If you reset the timeline, you could do anything. You could go anywhere with the story. You could have new versions of characters, new relationships, new outcomes. You really have no limits. But here's the downside, and it's a very big one, is the story is meaningless because there is no consequence whatsoever. If characters could always come back, then nothing matters. Death becomes temporary. And of course, when you're going through Mortal Kombat and people get killed in a brutal way, you want it to be meaningful, but now it's just really not meaningful because they're just gonna come back in the next game like nothing happened because fans send death threats to Ed Boon or whoever because their character is not in the game, and that has happened before with Melina, so they just bring her back. So another thing is there's no long-term growth. Characters don't evolve naturally, they get reset instead of developed, and that's a big theme in the story where their arcs aren't really, fully developed, and that's because they just die or they just never learn, or even if they did have an arc, they get reset to the previous version, so you don't really see any growth with the characters. And then another thing is the story is hella confusing. Casual players get lost a lot, and even hardcore fans get lost and they start questioning what's canon, what's not canon. Me personally, I just start to think everything is canon because it adopted the multiverse theory, which I dislike a lot. But for casual and new players, I literally had to show a friend a video, like a whole 2-hour lore video on the entire story from Mortal Kombat 1, the original, up until Mortal Kombat 1, because it was so confusing to just explain. You actually need to see what's going on for you to understand it. And my last point, which is also the most damning point, is just the emotional disconnect from the story, because it's just hard to care when you know everything might be undone later. So like, why does anything matter? Why does it matter that so and so died? Why does it matter that Liu Kang and Katana are in a relationship? It just feels like anything that actually matters in the game won't matter in the future, because it seems like, characters just have their basic, canon moments or whatever you want to call it, where say like Scorpion goes through like traumatic experience, Sub-Zero kills Scorpion's family, Quan Chi is always bad, Shang Tsung's always good. Like on a surface level they will be the same, but any arcs that happen really just don't matter in the end. And now, to be fair, this approach isn't all bad because it helps keep Mortal Kombat fresh, flexible, and able to reinvent itself a lot, and that's why the series never really feels stale with new entries. But there's a difference between reinventing and constantly restarting, because right now I think Mortal Kombat is at a big crossroads. They've reset the timeline multiple times, they've explored time travel, they've touched multiverse level storytelling, and then the question is, how do you even go off from here? If Mortal Kombat 13 wants to actually move the series forward from a story standpoint, I feel like it needs to stop. No more resets. I feel like they shouldn't do any more multiverse stacking, no more undoing anything. Instead, it needs to stay grounded. Pick like a timeline. I say pick Liu Kang's timeline and just stick with it. Let the characters grow. Let actions have consequences. And let the story actually mean something again, because right now, Mortal Kombat doesn't have a major story problem, it has a commitment problem. And until that changes with NetherRealm, it's just gonna keep starting over and over and over and over again, and that's just not good. But that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Mortal Kombat should keep restarting its story? Do you like the multiverse sort of aspect to the story, or do you want it just to be grounded and just one continuous timeline? I think that it's just terrible that it keeps restarting. I mean, the one reset from Mortal Kombat 9 was great because you had that full period of letting the story grow up until Armageddon and then having it all crash down, and especially how NetherRealm kind of took over to make games instead of Midway, so it was a good starting point for NetherRealm, but now they're just going overboard. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure you let me know your comments down below and your thoughts and everything. If you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe to join the Frosty Flames Legion, and share this video. I'll be making more for you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.